Hello, everybody out there. We're happy to be with you. We are so happy that
He wasn't live yet.
this somebody said live. Hello, my name is Leslie Montgomery, and this is LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned Tuesday edition on Facebook. And I want to welcome everybody that's here today. And I want to say that we decided to have a conversation. First of all, I want to welcome my daughter Ashley Walker,
Hey y'all.
aka Ashley
Ashley
J's. That's her talk show and her business. So we came on today because 1212 has Alicia had us do an assignment. And the assignment she had us to do, yes, it's always something about 1212, yes. The assignment she had us to do today was, oh, not today, last week. She said, pull out your birth certificate and see what your entry date and where you were at that point. Not so much as us being in position, but what was going on in your family at that time. And I was telling Ashley about it, and I noticed that she went on her show talking about it. So I
made a
asked
video.
her. Uh-huh.
I made a video.
She made a video about it. So I asked her. This is non. This is impromptu. I asked her to come on, and in the aspect of her coming on, I asked her to talk about if she wanted to talk about what we talked about. So I pulled out our birth certificates. And when I pulled out our birth certificates, at first, I have two birth certificates, first of all. And my birth certificate, I did not know that I was adopted until I was 48 years old. And how I found out was I was going through some papers of my grandfather's looking for something for him pertaining to work. He was retired. He was in his 90s, but I wanted to put something on his obituary. So as I was looking, I pulled everything out of the firebox, and at the bottom of the firebox was this little paper. It was folded up like this. And I said, oh, that's probably what I'm looking for. And I opened it up, and it said Leslie Karen Brooks. Leslie Karen Brooks.
What did you grow up knowing yourself to be?
Leslie Karen Brooks. Who is Leslie Karen Brooks? I've always known myself as Leslie Walker. I always grew up, and my father adopted me 6 months after him and my mother had gotten to bed. 6 months after I was born, they got married. And when Alicia first started talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I grew up in a family. I didn't, we had a wholesome home at that time. And then when I started thinking about it, I said, I grew up with a single mother. I grew up with a single mother, and I'm sure that things was not that happy at that time. So one of the things, and I don't even know if I should go into this, but one of the things my mother told me at an early age was that she hated the doctor when the doctor told her she was pregnant with me. So my life was spent around rejection. So then they get married. I'm sure that it's a wholesome happy time. He's in the military. Money's not a problem. And now she has a home for her daughter because nobody else was there. Yeah, hey, I was the only child for a while. Didn't last long, but I was the only child for a while. Now it makes sense. So those had to be some happy times, but through the process I went through because of her rejection at an early age. So Ashley and I was talking about it, and in the process of talking about it, and I was telling Ashley, I said, you had it good, Your mom and dad was married. We had a house. We worked. We were doing good, and she grew up in a wholesome home at that time. And
For 2
then
years.
and then I said, you know what? Me and your dad had faith, but we didn't know how to stand on provision. And so then we started a conversation from that. Now Ashley was born in. I guess I could let you tell your own story about when you was born.
Where I was born, so the town, the city.
Yeah.
So I was born in.
Tell the audience hello.
Oh, hey y'all.
Tell
I'm
them a little bit
sorry.
about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we was going on with the story. All right, so I'm Ashley J. It's nice to meet y'all.
Hey, Ashley.
And I am a couples therapist. I'm a mental health therapist, but I specialize with couples and working with individuals who have trouble with anxiety and depression and lower self-esteem. And I'm also a relationship and dating coach and a wife, mother, and author, speaker, all of that good stuff, okay?
We are authors, aren't we?
We are. So, from my understanding, I was born in 84. And
Is that your understanding, or is that what your birth certificate
that's
says?
what my birth certificate
okay.
says. Okay, but it's my understanding too. I was born in 1984 to Hampton and Leslie.
Hey.
They were Williamsons, or she was a
Yes.
Williamson at that time.
Yes.
So I was born to them. They were in their mid-20s when they had me. And I want to say y'all were married for 2 years before having me.
Yes.
And they were married 2 years after having me.
Yes, with you, yes.
So she's married for 2 years. I lived in a home that was a complete home. And then for after that 2 years, it was a broken home. And I think that, I don't know, when she said I grew up in a wholesome home and they were together, that kind of struck a nerve with me a little bit, because I was like, well, it's only for 2 years, and 2 years of my memory that I don't remember.
That's
So
why
according-
I told that story.
So according to my memory, I grew up in a single parent home.
Mm.
So yeah, so we lived in Willingboro. Everybody lived in, almost everybody in our family lived in Willingboro at one point. And yeah, what else where do you want me to go with this?
So, Willingboro is in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes.
And yes, we did the immediate family. My grandparents lived in Garfield. We lived in Garfield. They lived in Garfield East. Linda and I lived around the corner from each other. We could walk to each other's house, and that's how close we were.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were a Willingboro family, and we came to Willingboro in the 60s, at the end of the 60s. We came to Willingboro. I remember coming, and my grandparents' house was being built from the ground. We would come and watch them. We went from the poles up to the house being built. But our house was an older house because we came as military children, a family of military. So when we came there, I think maybe 6 months later after them, but the majority of our lives we did spend in Willingboro. And we were talking today about the entry of our lives when we enter in. And I heard Ashley talking on her video about it. And I want you to talk a little about it so we can have a dialogue about this.
Okay, so, well, did you set it up where you explained what the entry was? Like, the way you explained it to me.
The entry, first of all, is how you was birthed and at what time. Her birth was at 9:05
a.m.
will never be forgotten, and mine was at 12:35 a.m. in the morning. And one of the things I was telling Alicia, I was like, it resonates now because I like getting up early. You don't. But I like getting up early, and I've always liked getting up early. And I was like, that kind of resonates with me, and how I like to get up 12 a.m. in the morning. What time I'm usually getting up between 2 and 3 in the morning, and it just seemed right. It just seems right. So as we continued on, and we were talking about it, then we began to talk about money and how money affects our lives. So go ahead.
All right. So, and let me add this. I am doing this devotional by Anthony O'Neill. It's a 3-day devotional about the scarcity mindset. And that has kind of fueled this discussion for me as I reflect on that um, devotional and our conversation. So, as we were talking, there was a little while back we talked. My mother said how the father gave her a word about our mindset and money, and how we have. Well, I'll speak for myself. If I have a fear of money, right? Made sense when she shared that with me. So jump forward to yesterday, and we're talking about finances, and I came to realize that I picked up a fear of money from both parents. My father, he has always been one that he made do with what he had, but money was bad. And this is just my perception, just from sitting back and watching him and picking up on the different things that he talks about or how he handles himself. So money is bad. One of the conversations he and I had was never get in credit card debt. Credit cards are bad. Stay away from them. You don't want credit cards. That puts my mind, okay, credit cards equates to money. Money is bad. That's bad. Money is evil, whatever, right? So I won't say he always lived a life of lack, but he lived.
He did.
Oh,
And the reason why I'm saying that
you
because
said that with a lot of.
oh no. He never had enough. That's what it was. It wasn't that money was bad. He never saw himself as having enough money,
Yes.
and that's how he lived. He lived not even from paycheck to paycheck. He lived from scratching his head on how you're going to do it instead of living from the place of having enough.
And something just came up for me. Part of, like, he and I used to be very close. As I got older, that changed. And part of that change in our relationship is a result of money. Having a disagreement around money. So that's my father. My mother, I said to her, well, you have, the way you fear is, I gotta survive. I what?
Go ahead, finish.
Money is for survival. So whatever you get, you got to put it towards surviving. So those two things those two mindsets have become one for me, where I need this just in case. I got to do this just in case I can't do it later. I need to spend this just in case I can never get what I want or what I need in the future. That is the thought that money is never going to come back around for me.
So that's interesting because I've always looked at myself as one that lived by faith, not so much provision, but by faith. And one of the things I have taught you, I've always taught you that what you had came from the Father. Anytime you got something, what's the first thing I say? Tell the Lord.
Thank you.
Thank you. I always lived from a place of faith. Faith, I got it. And maybe, I think because of the way that I might have managed it in the past, I might have begun to say, do this now, do that now, don't wait. And in a lot of aspects, I am like that. I'm even like that with your sister. Look, take care of this, take care of it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's so much. What'd you say I was?
Survival.
Survival. It wasn't a survival mode, and maybe you could call it a survival mode. It was more from the fact that do it while you have it.
which in turn shows you need to use it
While you have it.
instead of, like you need to use it because you don't know what's going to happen with it. While you have it, is you don't know if it'll stay there. It'll be there tomorrow.
I always looked at it this way, and that's a good point. And this is the way I always looked at it. A lot of times when we have it and we use it on something else, the important things don't get taken care of. So that's why you might hear me say, and one thing that I tell your sister now, put some of it away. Don't spend it all. But that's just being wise. But I always felt like when I say spend it now, do it now, it was because I didn't want you to spend it on something else. Then a bill come up or something come up and you don't have it. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, but as I'm sitting here listening to you, it's sending off alarm bells for me, a sense of urgency. And it could be just the wording.
Could be.
There's a sense of urgency with what you're saying. You got to do it now.
I didn't want you to spend it frivolously. So my thing was always do it now. In other words, you take care of what you got to take care of, and what you have left, that's a different story. Don't spend it. And I think that has a lot to do with mindset. Don't spend it on something that is not necessary, and then when it's necessary to do what you need to do, you don't have it. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
So, and I'm listening to you, and
She's counseling right now.
I'm not. I'm not.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm listening to you, and I can see how what you meant got twisted back when I was younger to help me develop that mindset that I have now. It's very easy, like I said, and that may be a reflex from when you would tell me this when I was younger. Hearing what you're saying, I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. Hurry up and do this. Hurry up and do that before this is gone. That's kind of where my thought process goes.
So this is good because that's what we do. We take things the way we see it and view it, and that's how we survive from that, or that's the aspect we live from. You know, the fear of money has never been an issue. Not having enough, I guess that can cause fear.
Because you don't have enough. You don't know how you're going to survive.
Well,
you don't
not
know
knowing where it's coming
live.
from.
Yeah.
Not knowing where it's coming from. So a lot of times I did live from that place, especially when y'all were young, because when y'all were young, I was the only provider, per se. And so
you was the only provider all our life until we became adults.
So in some instance, I worked 2 and 3 jobs. 2 jobs. I never worked 3 jobs. I would work 2 jobs to make sure that ends would be met. Now, me working the 2 jobs did not mean that ends was met. And I would go into it, but I'm not going to go into it. Why? But sometimes our upbringing in church has a lot to do with it. I'll just say that. So some things came before other things did. So one of the things I used to teach was that, does that look dark? Was that give it to God and he'll make a way. Give to him first and he'll make a way, which is not true. But I believe that there's a way of doing it.
Okay.
So I've always been adamant about giving God what he's supposed to have first. I've been very adamant about that. Even now. But I'm seeing things differently now. Because if you're going to give him what he has, hey Alfreda,
Hey, Miss Alfreda.
You got to understand that provision will come back to you. You can't live wondering. You have to have an assurity that provision will be made. Provision is a lifestyle. Faith, you can have faith, but to have provision, that becomes a lifestyle because it takes on a whole nother form in your life. I didn't really have that. Even though he always made provision, but I never connected the two. It was always just a blessing. Not that that's the way it's supposed to be. So when he was making ways out of no way, I was just, that's a blessing. No, that is a provision. That is a way of life that he maintains you when you do what you're supposed to do. I feel like I'm just talking.
Why do you feel like you're talking? You're teaching about provision.
Go ahead.
Because there's things that you're saying that I never considered. So, you just, not to me.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to add? I told you half an hour to 45 minutes.
Anything else I want to add?
Thank you for squeezing me into your schedule.
My schedule was light today, so it was easy. Okay, so anything else that I want to say? On my video yesterday, I did request whoever viewed it to put comments below about how they were able, if they ever been in this place to me, like as me, where you have a mindset that is creating fear of money. So I got a few of the I got a few comments, and one person said, which these are I read my Bible all the time.
I'm so proud of you. That makes me proud. I'm a proud mama right now.
Anyway. I read my Bible all the time, but they said go to the Word and read it from cover to cover. Okay, I got that. Another thing that they suggested was this book that I did read, and maybe I need to I said I was going to read it again, but it's a book that I need to read again. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. And that book, it helps you to get out of your own way. It helps you to kind of try to develop. What you about to say?
I'm going to ask you a question about that comment, but go ahead.
It helps you to kind of get out of your own way and to navigate how to, I guess, attract finances or money to you instead of repelling it. It is by The Science of Getting Rich is by, his last name is Waddle. I can't remember what his first name is.
So where did the comments come from? Why did they say read the Bible from cover to cover?
Because I said, tell me how you were able to get out of that mindset.
Okay, that's a good point. Cover to cover. That was something we had a conversation about this morning. We were discussing, and the other part to that, and it's not saying you, but the other part to that, it's okay to tell somebody to read cover to cover, but you got to have a covenant with the Father. You can't just read from cover to cover. You got to have a covenant with the Father in order to understand what He has in store for us. When you learn to have a relationship, and I had relationship, but I didn't have the word in me the way I knew. I had bits and pieces of the word.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have bits and pieces of the word, you don't have a full understanding of who the Father is. The word is what gives us knowledge of who He is, and it causes us to operate differently than someone that just reads the book from cover to cover.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, but
And I think maybe their point was just to study the word. I think, I don't know.
I was reading the yeah.
Oh, is that what I didn't see that part? Is that what they were saying on the comment, Teresa? Because I saw that you
Read it.
commented on it. So Teresa said they said the Bible from cover to cover shows God always providing.
And it does, but you never get the full connection of it if you don't have a relationship. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Teresa.
Yes.
It does show you His provision, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book to read. I promise you. And when you read it differently from just reading it, I've read through the Bible before. That's one thing, but it's another thing, like you were saying, to study. And one thing about it is that when you study it, He says He'll reveal the secret things. So provision is unfolded in that portion of you having a relationship. Why? Because it's an inheritance. That's His inheritance to you, provision. And unless we understand that and know that, then we really can't follow that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a message about Marquise.
Okay. So, we just came on today just to talk about our entry, what our history was when we entered in, and how it looks. So today, I think that, as you get older, your life things change, and things begin to surface differently because you begin to learn, and you begin to mature, and you begin to equip. But there's a lot of places that you can be stagnated because of when you came in and you never knew the background of your history or where you come from.
Yeah, and I got the comment here. The person said, read the Bible cover to cover, realize God was always trying to lead the people to blessings. So I didn't remember that second part of it.
Yeah, because when we follow His instructions, we automatically are blessed. We automatically position ourselves for provision, because provision is an inheritance. This is supposed to be a lifestyle. Us depending and agreeing with Him and depending on Him is a lifestyle. It's no different than when you have children and children come into the world. They totally depend on you. That is a lifestyle for them. You provide their food, you provide their clothing, you take them where they need to go. They don't have to worry about those things. That's how the Father wants us to begin to live according to the Word, because that's a promise. You follow my word and I'll provide for you. I'll take care of you. You give Him a reason to allow provision to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
So we just came on today. We don't know if this will help anybody.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I got a unexpected message from Marquise's school.
So we're gonna sign off now. What time is that? I can't even see.
102.
We're going to sign off now. Thank you for those that are listening now and those that will listen later. We appreciate it.
Did you read the other comment from Teresa?
You want to read it?
I'm asking, did you read it? I checked out for a minute, so I didn't know.
Can you read it? You think I can see it?
I forgot you ain't got no glasses on. Okay, so the other comment Teresa left was, my mindset was and still. My mindset was and still. Oh my god.
Pull it up further.
Alright.
Yeah.
My mindset was and still dealing with is that money will always come, so I spend when I probably save or choose something else.
And that's true. We do. That's how we were taught. You know, God will always provide, and He will, but He gives us a structure to it, and we have to learn how to develop that structure so that we can. He doesn't give us just for now. He gives us to prepare as well, and that was something we was talking about this morning. The Father never takes you through anything without preparation. So a lot of times He will prepare us for what's coming down the road. Joseph prepared the Egyptians and the Israelites for what was coming down the road. He followed the instructions of the Father, and he was not frivolous with it. When I say that, he didn't say, well, we'll just do this with something. No, he followed the instructions to the T, and because of that, they were saved. Moses was prepared to go take the Israelites out of Egypt, but he didn't go without preparation. There's always preparation for what's about to come.
Yeah.
So that's the part we need to learn. You know, is He preparing us? What is for us to spend? What is for us to give? And how? How are we supposed to do what we do? We're just used to having it and doing it.
And take the anxiety out of it.
When we trust and rest in Him, there is no anxiety. Our anxiety comes from our fear.
Mm-hmm.
And when we live from a place of fear, we live in a place of anxiety. So, yeah.
Okay, Miss Alfreda said, I agree. We have to learn to do things God's way, not ours, because we always messing up.
In decency and order, as they always used to tell us.
And Teresa said, correct, not prepared many times for what was ahead. Thank you both.
Yeah.
I got the glasses on, so I got to be the reader.
And trust me, it's a little distance away. It's not up close, so I'm seeing words. I'm seeing the words. I know y'all saying something. So listen, have an amazing day. Thank you, Ashley J.
Thank you, Leslie's Lessons Learned.
Maybe I can get Adrian on to talk about her birth certificate and her life and how it has. We were talking about several different things with her life and how we see it playing out, you know. So yes, there's some corrections I need to do to my own life, you know, as far as provision and trusting Him for the provision, not looking at it and not saying, is He going to, but saying He is, and rest in that. So have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here. Sunday, I'll have my sister from the islands, Johanna Samuels, on with me, and she'll be talking about her forgiveness aspect with a neighbor and how that played a part in her life, and when she forgave him, how things in her life began to blossom. So hit me up. Follow us on Sunday. We'll be on Leslie's Lessons Learned YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Look forward to seeing you. Have an amazing day. Love you guys.